Hey beautiful, today I just want to make a quick video for you about how to use my book, Raw Food Ayurveda, Volume 1. Here's the paperback. It is available in ebook for free or by donation. I will make sure a link is posted in the description where you can get your copy if you don't already have it. So I get lots of questions about raw food Ayurveda. What? Like, what are you talking about? How do you bring the two together? What's up with that? I've made a playlist of videos called Raw Food Ayurveda on this channel. So if your interest is piqued, go ahead and check out that playlist for more information. I go into greater detail. But in this video, I want to focus on just how to use the book specifically. So in the beginning, I share a bit about my story of what I've noticed in terms of imbalances on a raw food diet, low-fat, raw vegan lifestyle, and how I was guided to look to Ayurveda to optimize and dial in a low-fat, raw vegan lifestyle, and how I actually went on a yoga and Ayurveda training in India to dive deeper into those subjects, into that world, into that ancient wisdom tradition. And I learned a lot about Ayurveda while practicing a raw food diet there, and butted heads with the Ayurvedic doctor that was teaching the immersion course that I was a student in, and my yoga teacher who was the leader of the yoga training as well. And so we got into kind of debate, kind of energy, lots of questions, lots of back and forth, lots was triggered in me and a lot came up. So I go into that in this book, Raw Food Ayurveda Volume 1, and share a bit about my personal story. And then I go into raw food diet for each of the doshas. So for Pitta, for Kapha, and for Vata dominant folks. Now, if you have no idea what a dosha is, I talk about those in my dosha videos. I have one video on each of those, and you can also do some research on your own. And there's an awesome link where you can take a quiz. There are many different quizzes online. The one I like best is Banyan Botanicals. They give you like a really thorough quiz and then kind of layout of what your doshic balance is like as of right now. So when you're looking at the book and you're like raw food diet for Pitta, well, that's going to be most important for people who take a quiz or otherwise get assessed by an Ayurvedic practitioner and learn that they are Pitta dominant. So that would be the place for you to really like look at those recommendations, look at, what I have to say about Pitta dosha in terms of a raw food diet and lifestyle, and focus on that. And that will inform how you use the rest of the book. So the same is true for Vata or for Kapha. You want to really sink into I have a section for each dosha at the beginning of the book, and then throughout the rest of the book, for each recipe, you see the symbols. There's Vata, Pitta, and Kapha for every single recipe. So if you're Vata dominant, you're going to want to look here. If you're Pitta dominant, you want to look here. If you're Kapha dominant, you want to look here. If maybe you're Vata dominant, but on the quiz that you take, like that Banyan Botanicals one that I mentioned before that I think is really good, and it says like your Pitta is out of balance, it will recommend some products for you which you may or may want to check out. But if you learn that your Pitta is out of balance, so even though you're Vata predominant, your Pitta is out of balance, then it would be worth your while to look at the Vata recommendations, but also to check out the Pitta recommendations in the book. And also in the beginning of the book, it tells you what are signs of imbalance for Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So again, if you're Vata, Pitta predominant, and say you're reading the Kapha section and you're like, excess mucus, that's one of the signs of Kapha imbalance. Well, maybe then take a look at the Kapha recommendations. If your Vata and Pitta seem to be pretty much good. Those are your predominant doshas, but you're having a lot of excess kapha, then when you're looking at the recipes, you would want to look at the guidelines for kapha as well. So again, you want to look at the recipes. You can use this book just as a recipe book. If you're like Ayurveda, whatever, no big deal, not into it. Just use it as a recipe book. But if you want to take it to the next level and go a bit deeper, then you're going to want to pay attention to the recommendations for your dosha in those preliminary sections at the beginning of the book, and also with each recipe paying attention to the recommendations for vata, for pitta, for kapha, depending on what your predominant dosha is and depending on what kind of imbalances you're having. So again, just another example, I'm pitta predominant, so most of the time I'm looking at recommendations and dialing in my diet to be very soothing for pitta. But say, my vata becomes out of balance, I'm feeling like airy and ungrounded and spaced out, things like that, maybe a lot of anxious energy, nervous energy, then I would want to look at the recommendations for vata. Likewise, I'm pitta predominant. Say, my digestion gets really slow and I'm feeling really tired, I'm feeling like a lot of inertia, like not motivated to exercise and move and do things, I'm having a lot of mucus, then that would be an indication that I should look at those recommendations for kapha. So I hope that clears things up a bit in terms of just how to use the book. If you have any questions, just shoot me a comment down in the comments. I'd love to know what you think, how you're using the book, if it's being helpful, what I can do better in terms of future videos, future books, stuff like that. I do have a second book. It is the Savory Companion book, and I will talk about how to use that book in a future video. So like this video if you like it, subscribe for more, and as I said, leave me a comment. I'd love to answer any questions you may have. You can also email me at taylor@joyfulrawlife.com, taylor@joyfulrawlife.com. Thank you so much for watching, and my love goes out to all the doshas. They're all beautiful. They are all parts of us. So much love to you. Namaste.